but there's also going to be things that are grossly over dramatized or over funnyized, if that's a word.
It is now. Contact Webster Dictionary.
In the trailer.
Hello and welcome to another edition of Popcorn Bucket List, the show where we recommend what to watch and then you ignore us anyway. Let's move right into the opening spotlight. Spooky season has essentially wrapped up. Let's look at what some of the last effects of Halloween weekend were. I wanted to talk about this because this kind of surprised me. Pray for the Devil premieres for Halloween weekend.
Yep.
For the last few weeks, we've been talking about how scary movies have been doing good in the box office. They've been well received. I thought leading into Halloween weekend, this movie was going to make gangbusters.
So did I. I thought it'd do a lot better than what it did. But I also think in our geographical region, the weather was incredibly nice. And it was awesome.
This was true.
And sometimes for Halloween, you could have a foot of snow, or it could be almost 70 degrees. So I think that obviously in our geographic location, that might have played a little part, but I wouldn't say overall.
Yeah, let's look at some of the numbers here. So the movie only grossed $7 million.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. I was trying to look into whether or not that was good or bad for this movie, whether or not it was a flop or whether or not it made its money. There is no information out there as far as what the budget was for this movie.
Yeah.
Nobody can find it.
This movie was made like 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Like it's supposed to be released like pre or early pandemic. And then they sat on it.
So either nobody's released the budget information or we all forgot what it was after they said it 2 years ago and nobody could find it again.
Yep.
But this is still surprising to me because like I can only assume this movie had some effects and everything. 7 million cannot be good for this movie.
No,
but that's just crazy going into Halloween weekend. You think this would be it? We've been talking. It's almost everything had been going right for horror movies there for a minute
until Halloween. Visually as the film and as Halloween ends. It ended it.
You really bent over backwards.
I did. That was a bad one.
Wow. Let's talk about some of the other horror movies that we've talked about in the past and what they made, just to really show how much this movie's maybe a flop. For reference, Smile grossed $5 million over this same weekend, and it's been in theaters for over 4 weeks.
It's been a while.
Halloween Ends grossed a little over $4 million, and it's been in theaters for 2 weeks.
Yeah. And wasn't Smile, is that rated R?
I believe they're all rated R, yeah.
Yeah. So, like, usually, especially, like, was Pray for the Devil rated R?
I believe it was also.
PG-13 says. Because a lot of times,
that was PG-13?
Yeah.
That trailer did not look PG-13.
No, because you want to have it as a PG-13 movie so you can get those kids in there that don't need their parents' permission, or you know what I mean. It's not the hard
Marshall 6 theater policy. I feel like we should put the Marshall 6 theater policy right now. You need parents' permission.
Yeah,
I'm going to put that on screen now.
Yeah,
but lies
they want that. They want that PG-13 to open it up to a larger audience, but sometimes when you do that with scary movies, it dampens the scariness and it dampens the gore and all of that sometimes, and that's what people want to watch. Mm-hmm. So if they know it's PG-13,
yeah, it's just when you think you've got it all figured out, then a horror movie comes out on Halloween and flops.
Yep.
I don't know. I don't get this world anymore. If we do live in a simulation, the simulation is broken. That's all I'm going to say. But with that, let's move into the weekly preview. Like I said, scary season has essentially wrapped up. We're moving into November. We're going to see a lot more dramatic things. We're going to talk a lot more about the Venice Film Festival and the Toronto Film Festival. A lot of these movies that we're going to be talking about these next few weeks have been already premiered in these areas because we're getting closer to Oscar season.
Yep.
So time to get you know what, the scary people who loved the blood and gore, as you said.
Yep.
Their time is over. Let's get classy here. Let's get a little fancy. All right. Starting with Armageddon Time. I talked about being fancy, and now we're going to talk about the end of the world.
Yes.
Except
it's not really. I wouldn't say about the end of maybe the end of this kid's world, or
this title is kind of confusing.
His idea of the world, as it was, I think is ending, and it's his eyes are opening to what the world is really like. And
that's a really good way to put it, right? I didn't even think of it that way. That's a really good way to put it.
Thank you.
But yeah, it's set in the 80s, stars Anthony Hopkins, Anne Hathaway, Jessica Chastain, just to name a few. The story is based off of real life experiences from the writer-director of this movie, James Gray. I didn't recognize a lot of his work except for one of his last projects. He directed Ad Astra. I know you have seen it. You've talked about that movie in the past before. What I kind of got from the trailer is it kind of deals with the prejudice and expectation that we have, that we maybe still have today, I guess you could argue. But since it's set in the 80s, you almost, if you looked at some of the moments in this trailer, you'd think, oh, it's like a 60s piece.
Yep.
But then it's like, well, no, that's still kind of around. And it's like, why is it still around? And the expectations parents have on their kids, especially ones that have immigrated out of bad situations and everything. Yep. I don't know. The message was a little confusing to me. I felt like it was a little all over the place.
Yeah, I think in the trailer, it's a little all over the place. I'm hoping the film is actually... Because this one, I think, performed pretty well at some of those film festivals. So I'm hoping that once you can sit down and watch it and see what the whole film is trying to say, because this could just be maybe some smaller parts to it, but it was very like loose and looked like it had a couple of different storylines and plot lines to follow.
Yeah. Also coming out that same weekend is The Estate. Also coming to theaters, Toni Collette and Anna Faris play sisters who are trying to get close with their dying aunt, whom everyone essentially hates.
But she's loaded.
But she is loaded, yes. So they're trying to get close to her so they can get written into the will at the last moments of her life and get her money. Here's the problem, other than the morality angle of it all. Turns out all the cousins have the same idea here.
Yep.
Before we get more into this movie, I just want to say as a little PSA, I have a lot of cousins on both sides of my family. I'm declaring a truce. Let's not do this. This looks like a mess. I got a lot of aunts and uncles. I don't know if any of them are loaded. But if they are, and my cousins are watching, but many, many cousins. Okay, there's only like 5 cousins involved in this movie, and it already looks chaotic. I have how many on one side of my family already? It's going to be all out war. Not going to be fun. Let's use this as a moment to claim a truce here, and not so that I could secretly enact this plan myself. But Anna Faris and Toni Collette. We don't see Toni Collette doing too much comedy.
No.
But this is kind of a dark comedy.
Yep.
A very raunchy dark comedy.
Yes.
A lot of swearing.
And David Duchovny is in there. I love David Duchovny, and he plays a very, very interesting cousin, to say the least.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's probably the PG way to say that, right? Yeah.
Let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat.
Welcome back to the spotlight on the Marshall 6 movie theater. We got good news for you. For those of you who have been there recently, you realize, where'd the red ices go? Well, they're back, baby. Not only do they got red ices, they got blue ices, they got pop, they got popcorn, they got nachos, they got pretzels, they got anything you can imagine, dibs, all of that stuff. So next time I'm at the movie theater, make sure to stop by and get something to eat and drink.
Let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat.
But also coming out this weekend on Apple TV Plus, Causeway, Jennifer Lawrence movie produced by A24. I don't know how you stand on this, but I almost don't want to get into what this trailer showed, because if you just watch the trailer, you don't get the full scope of what the movie is trying to.
You have no
show.
idea what the movie's trying to talk about.
Yeah, you have no idea what Jennifer Lawrence's character is going through. I had to like read the synopsis as I was watching the trailer. That when I read a certain line, all of a sudden everything kind of fell into place, and I'm wondering why the trailer doesn't show or imply it, and I'm almost wondering if there's a reasoning behind it. So I almost don't want to say everything that's going on here.
I have no idea. She's sitting on a bench talking to a guy.
Yeah.
Does some running. She's in a house.
Set in New Orleans.
Yeah.
Looks like she has a great performance. So
No idea.
I don't know. If you're curious, look it up yourself. Watch the trailer.
There's a couple of classic Jennifer Lawrence shots of her like standing, and she does like the walk and kind of tilts her head like this. She does that in almost every single one of her movies, and they show it in the trailer. And it's really funny.
That's another good point. This cold you have has really awoken your mind, I feel.
It has.
Also coming out this weekend on Netflix, Enola Holmes 2. I surprisingly loved this first movie. So I'm super excited for this sequel. I think Millie Bobby Brown is great in this role. There's a lot of action. She's very humorous, fourth wall breaking that she does in here and everything. I don't know much about the Sherlock Holmes lore, but I especially didn't know that he had a sister in the books and everything. Until
Much younger sister.
Yes, a much younger sister until that first movie came out. So I don't really know what to expect with this one. But in this one, Henry Cavill, he plays Sherlock, had a very minor role in the first one. Looks like he's going to be a lot more involved in this one, which is great. I think also Helena Bonham Carter, she's the mother of the Holmes siblings. She looks like she's going to be more involved in this one, which I think those two factors are really what's going to elevate this one to be even better than the first one.
Yep.
Finally coming out this weekend, Weird, an Al Yankovic story. The weirdest thing about this is what it's coming out on. This is a new one for us. It's coming straight to Roku. So if you have Roku, you can watch this.
Yeah.
Now would be the time to ask your friends what TV provider they have, I guess.
Yeah.
It's not on a specific streaming service. I don't know how you access it if you have Roku. It's just a new thing, I guess.
Yep. I have a Roku, so I'm going to watch it, but I need to figure out how to watch it.
Yeah.
I know like Roku has like you can get a Roku channel.
I guess it's going to be on
so
that.
That's kind of what I'm.
I don't know. I don't know who convinced these guys to do this way. I don't agree with.
Hey, they're just trying to. It's a pond out there, man. They're fishing a pond now.
I guess.
They're going all in.
I wonder if we'll see future projects just straight to certain TV providers now. I guess or something. I don't know. But anyway, so getting into the movie, this is a movie about Weird Al Yankovic. His origin and everything doesn't feel like a typical biopic because it isn't.
It's not.
This is a fictional retelling, so to speak, written partially by Weird Al himself. So he's a part of this project. He's in on the joke, and the joke looks pretty funny.
Yeah, and I think what's going to make it super interesting is because obviously I think there's going to be beats that do pull from his real life, but there's also going to be things that are grossly over dramatized or over funnyized, if that's a word.
It is now.
Like I think it's gonna be hilarious.
Contact Webster Dictionary.
In the trailer, when the parents are talking to him and they're like, you know what? We think you need to change your entire personality and not be yourself. Like that's hilarious.
Yeah.
That's so funny.
It's taking all the beats you see in these modern biopics and it's just kind of cranking them up a little bit. And just kind of funnyizing them.
Funnyizing.
We're going to make that a word. You heard it here first, folks. Maybe the funniest part about this is how young Weird Al is played by Daniel Radcliffe.
Yep.
Would not have been the first casting I would have chose for this.
No, but he looks awesome.
I don't know if he's really got the voice down, but yeah, they got the look, I guess.
You just need the hair, maybe some sunglasses.
They even, during the singing scenes, I'm pretty sure they just take audio recordings from Weird Al himself and just dub it
Probably.
over. I'm listening to it. I think that's what they did, and I think that is also, again, part of the joke. But that is everything coming out this weekend. Let's talk a little bit about what we have seen recently. It's time for some number one recommends. I'm going to kick things off here with a movie we talked about, we previewed on this show, Vengeance. on Peacock, written, directed, and starring B.J. Novak. It's essentially a mystery movie, but it talks about, how there's like a podcast for every single mystery that's going on right now. And one of the things we talked about when we previewed this is the idea of conspiracy theories, how easy it is to buy into them, how easy it is to fall into them, and all that. And the movie does a really good job of talking about that and showing that. When they do solve the mystery, I'm not going to say it's a mind-blowing thing. You're going to kind of see it coming. But hey, in this day and age, you write a mystery. But the main thing I will say that I do love that they go more into is they talk a little bit about, people's reactions to these podcasts and how everyone has to have an opinion. Everyone has to have a voice, even though you don't really need to get involved. You can just watch or listen to a thing. I think the performances are great. It's really funny. It's got a lot of belly laughs out of me. And I think a lot of the characters were pretty fun to watch as well. So that's my number one recommend from this week. Ryan, what do you got? What are you recommending?
You know what I got for you guys today?
Oh, he's warming up his hands. It's a big one. What are you doing?
Big fat zero.
What?
I got nothing.
Oh. Felt like a lot of build
Zero.
up there.
There was a lot of build up. And I got nothing. I let you down. Kind of like Halloween Ends. I let you down.
There he goes. One more time mentioning Halloween Ends. There we go. But that's going to do it for us. I really don't know how to segue out of that one. Sometimes you set me up perfectly, and sometimes it's like, we didn't talk about this before the show. There's going to be some internal investigation into that one. How did it get this bad? We apologize, and we'll do better. But that's going to do it for us here on this episode of Popcorn Bucket List. If you have any of your own movie recommendations, let us know, because apparently Ryan needs some help figuring out what to watch on a week-to-week basis. So put it in the comments.
And if you have spare time, send it my way too, please.
That's what I was getting at as you interrupted me again. There's in other news, we'll be looking for a new host for Popcorn Bucket List here. Ryan is leaving.
Where am I going?
You've been
crazy.
You've been canceled.
I'm going crazy.
Happening. I don't know what I'm going to do with any of this now. This show went off the rails real easily. We got to get out of here. For myself and Ryan Meyerberg, we'd like to thank you so much for watching, and we will see you at the movies.